I obviously know about you, your story. Again, we've seen each other at this show, it feels like a dozen times. But for those of you who may have been living in Iraq and don't know, who are you and how'd you get here?
So my name is Kyle Kravitz, and I am a humble hobbyist who started with my card collection like anybody else. Growing up, all I wanted was to be future ball player for the Yankees, and I was playing all my sports. I had my entire card collection. I loved autographed memorabilia. I'd go to the ballparks, go get autographs. I was one of those grapher kids running around like a nut job, just trying to even hustle then. And even at that point, I was seeing it almost as a business opportunity. I was 13, 14, 15 years old, going getting autographs, flipping and trading the autographs I was getting, going to get cards, flipping and trading those. And it all stems from that seed of just a passion for what I was doing and having a vision at that point. But I got to college and, did college, learned what girls were. I was like, okay, I'm gonna put cards on the shelf for a few minutes here, circle to the back end of college, and I had to figure out what life was gonna look like after that. What do I love doing? What do I wanna do every day? And I pinpointed exactly what I needed to, which was the hobby, collecting, being around it. So I got right back into it, actually at first trying to fund my collection and just things I would want. I was preparing to go into the world with a regular job, and I said, you know what, maybe I can make this my job, my career. Yep. And that's what it all stems from originally. Put my head down while I was still in school, and I'm sitting in the back of my classes. I was in the back of my MBA classes, just flipping on Instagram, eBay, and trying to make sure that by the time I walked out of there, I had what I wanted. And sure enough, by the time I was finishing up and had my degree, I had an up and running business, enough so that I can continue, and it is built and grown, and I stuck with it. And even when it got tough, didn't give up on it. And there's a whole lot in between then and right now, but that's the main course of how we got here.
That's awesome. We have, I knew bits and pieces of that, but I didn't realize, we had similar, they're differing, but there's similar stories. Like, I built my career while right out of school. I'd got a job. I was like, hey, got to get that 9 to 5. That's where I got into Gary's content. I know we both share a mutual, admiration for Gary Vee.
Sure.
Was watching his content, and my wife and I were going to get married, and it was like, hey, I'm going to pay for the wedding through the flipping game. So I was trying to build that business, obviously collect, enjoy it, the hobbyist, right? Like, still love this, but still want to try to make this a 9 to 5. And the idea was, hey, if I can make $45,000, $50,000 a year doing this, I'd be much happier in life. Let me try it. So I love the idea of like building it while you have that time, because I had it, and it sounds like you did too. And then you get to the point where it's like, cool, I'm ready, and this is perfect timing, and let's see how it goes.
That was exactly what it was. And I remember I called my grandfather, so I still talk to him about it to this day, but there was a day I can pinpoint, like a phone call, and I said to him, I'm gonna figure this out. I don't know what it's gonna look like, I just know that I wake up walking out of school and continuing this.
Yep.
I know I'm gonna find a way to do it. It has to be that. I didn't even know what I'd want to do in a 9 to 5. The thought of working in that frame and doing something that made me unhappy, I couldn't live with that. And so I really made some sacrifices, missed out on some nights out with the boys that not everybody understood at the time, but they all get it now, and it's just one of those things. You got to do what you have to do. And it was the same mindset. At first, all the cards I wanted just to enjoy, I just wanted to be able to afford. So I was prepared to go into the world. My MBA was in nonprofit management. So really my whole focus was all my internships, all my part-time work in college as a student was preparing me so I could go make an impact on the world and do something good. That was what I had everything centered around. So how do you end up here? How do you pivot to that? Well, I started realizing I was really good on the for-profit side, and that potentially in the grand scheme of things, my for-profit work might be the best way I can help the nonprofit work, is by going out and making something happen. So somewhere in that little time frame there, I took the seed money that I had, which I think I had from part-time work, it was right around 10 grand that I saved up, and I dug every single, no exaggeration, every single penny of it into cards and started rolling that snowball down the hill. And that's kind of where it all stemmed from.
When did your journey, like, I don't know what year you graduated. When did you graduate?
I graduated, so 2019 undergrad, and then 2020 in the winter with my master's.
Gotcha. So like so you basically got in like peak market then. You got in at a different time now versus like
So
where we are now versus then.
Right, so it was an interesting time for sure. There were pros and cons to that, I'll say
For
this.
sure.
I got some huge wins that I may not have deserved to, and I took some huge losses that I also did not deserve to, I can say that. So it all came with that, and you know, a lot of people harp on the time frame that it came within. I genuinely believe that what we saw in the people that are still in it to this point, there's enough time that's elapsed where you can kind of see who was reliant on just hitting that lottery ticket almost, or just getting it at the right time, and who actually understood how to conduct the business and what would appreciate and what wouldn't, and how to facilitate things. So I think that's been an interesting thing to look back on is when. And there's a lot of energy around it, but what did you do with that? And did you take the opportunity to learn how to do it properly for when not everything that you touched 5X's overnight?
Yep, properly, the right way. Again, like the 5X thing is crazy. I mean, I remember that August, September of 2020, like you bought it, and by the time you got it in the mail, it was worth more money.
Right.
You know, Zion 10 Prisms got to $1,000 almost. Like the market was in a much different time, but again, if you did it the right way and you're playing the long game, you could have built something cool, and you know you're still here. And I think that, you know, I didn't bring it up as like the timing thing meant anything, you know.
No, absolutely.
Starting in there, I was just more curious on like how long, because it sounds like at this point it's been what, 5 years, almost 5 years.
5 years of you know, approaching it as a business, coming up on, you know, 5 years where I really dug into it at that level. Because I went into that phone call that I made to my grandfather where I said, hey, like I'm gonna do this. That was going into my MBA program.
Okay.
I said, I have this time frame that I've allotted myself. I did real well as a student, you know, and got that opportunity and said, I'll take my master's, and you know what? If nothing else happens, I will take my piece of paper like everybody else, and I'll go and I'll find that job, and that's what I've been training for. That's what the education was for, right? Or I'm gonna have this figured out. That was always what I knew I wanted, what I felt like I needed. It got to the point of feeling like I needed to do this.
For sure.
And yeah, I distinctly just, I remember, can't tell you what was on the board because I wasn't paying attention to the class, but I remember being in the back row, and I had my laptop set up, eBay, Instagram on my phone. There was one time where I was looking up like 2014 Prism World Cup. I was kind of trying to get in on that early as I saw it ticking along, and people were realizing the appreciation of Prism in general, and then that set and the Messi and Ronaldos, and then how hard the color was to come by. And I'm popping raw ones that I'm getting ready to pick up and then send in a grading order if any are clean. I mean, like, those are things that I distinctly remember about this journey, and it seems like something so simple, but all of that is what amounts to what it is now.
I love it. Yeah, it's crazy just hearing you talk about it, because I think about it and I'm like, I did this. I sat in there with 2 computers, watched Gary Vee and flipped cards and scrolled eBay, and then did a little bit of data work, and I'm like, the need thing is so true. It's like I sat there and I'm like, I can't do this forever. I need to understand if I can make this work. And I viewed it the same way you did, because it was always like, my degree, you go to school for it, you learn it.
Yep.
That was always the backup plan. It's like, this is my fallback plan if I try cards and it doesn't work, but at least I can say I did it, because I feel like I wake up every day and I need it in my life. So I resonate with that so much, and I think a lot of people do.